Thursday is a baby Friday, isn't it? That's what they call it nowadays. It's the start of the weekend for Generation Zs, so hopefully we'll get a few new fans down.
Yeah, but you are worryingly available for B&Q and Tesco for the Friday, Saturday and Sunday, so it has its drawbacks.
Yeah, there is that. We're going into town on Friday. We're taking them into Europe's largest sauna on Friday in Manchester. I know you may laugh, but recovery is all important for mental resilience. So we thought, with it being the internationals' first game, those who were picked, that they'll want to. The best thing we can do is get them in for a bit of hot and cold, get them in for a bit of treatment, get the review done, and then they can get themselves off to B&Q on Saturday and Sunday. But we've saved them. We've saved them on Friday. They're back in with us the day after.
And how have you changed the week? Because it's so much shorter.
Oh yeah, it's not really. The day of the week is arbitrary in terms of preparation for games. Games takes priority when that game day is. So you just work back from game day, -7, and you try and keep your training cycle as consistent as you can. So we've basically got training jet lag, I guess you could call it. Because we didn't have a game last week, we came in Saturday, Sunday. We had Monday off and we trained today, and we'll have tomorrow off and play Friday. And that's how a Saturday cycle would work. So we've just worked back from Thursday, as it were, a Saturday, if that makes sense. And then we'll get them in on Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, and then we're back into a normal cycle again. So for us, it's been pretty easy. For teams that have had to play 2 games, or at least a game over the weekend, slightly more complex. They've had to register full Hartbury sides. And Bath didn't end up playing in the Prem Cup either. They put a second team out there, didn't they, and played Worcester. So other teams have gone different ways about it. We've had a bye week.
And in terms of planning on your big board about who comes in and how early and who's later than others, what are you looking at for the first match up then?
Well, all the internationals are... Yeah, they're all available, internationals, aren't they? They're all available to play. Lions players aren't, and Tom Curry, as you know, a bit later in his return to play. So we'll back our internationals, them that have had enough miles under the belts, because there's a few that, have had little niggles and stuff like that, but all those that have trained hard and trained well, we'll back them to perform well.
And besides Tom, is there anybody who hasn't been able to train fully?
Yeah, there's a few over the last... So they had 5 weeks off, came back in 5 weeks. Carps initially had a bit of an Achilles. Bev was still recovering from a clean out in his knee. Ben Curry, felt his hamstring a little bit. George has been as robust as he always is. Gus War is made of rubber, so his bendy bones, he hasn't had a niggle at all. Buck's been good, Reeder's been good. So there's a few out of that larger group that have had a few things to contend with over the last 5 weeks. But more recently they've all looked pretty sharp, which is where you want to get to, isn't it? You want them to feel ready, you want them to feel ready, and up for selection at the first game of the season. I feel we've got there for the most part.
You've chosen early. He is, like previous Southern Hemisphere players in that back row for Sailors, a ridiculous engine and a ridiculous love of tackling. Have you spoken to him about the amount of work he does in terms of ensuring he lasts the whole season? Because he does put his body on the line all the time.
Yeah, I haven't spoken to him about pulling back on the reins any. No, I love that aspect about him. And I think, your captain's got to exemplify not the strategic capabilities of the group, but certainly the values that underpin what you're about as a team. And Ernie does that, doesn't he? Boundless energy, unparalleled positivity. And that's not to detract from how good a job Ben's done. Where Ben is now and where he was 2 years ago, a totally different situation for him, and he recognises that and understands that the group, what's best for the group, is probably someone that is able to drive those standards, the mentality of the team, consistently in and out of international windows, and he's unable to do that. But that being said, I don't think it's a bad thing to rotate leadership, because then now Ernie's got someone like in Ben who completely understands what he needs in terms of support. You know, I think that and we've got a good group here, 6 or 7 who could all wear the armband, Chris. They all could. But it's fallen upon Ernie and on very capable shoulders to take the mantle on. And it was very well received by the group as well, which I'm happy to say.
Yeah, it would be a bit difficult if it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
Springboks back on the international stage after or young players with Springbok ambitions has been something Sale has managed to do for a number of players. Is Ernie another one who could make that move up? I mean, he has that, as we were talking earlier to him about that hybrid ability of playing lock and 6.
Yeah, you want all the players to be the best they can be, don't I? It sounds a little bit like an Army, Navy advert. But I truly do. I want them to attain and reach their ambitions and dreams, because if you do that, then both of your motivation, me for getting the best out of them and them for getting the best out of themselves, is aligned. And Ernie, through all the attributes that you've talked about, is more than capable of playing international rugby. He just falls between a rock and a hard place in South African terms, given the strength and depth they have in the second row, and that kind of 6'8" position. They've got so many unbelievable athletes there that it's increasingly difficult to fight your way into the South African squad in his position. It's been done, hasn't it, with a Faree later down the lines, but that's more of a hooker 7. They like these hybrid roles. They do like hybrid roles. It means they can play 6-2-7-1 splits on the bench.
Yeah.
But the 4, 5, 6, kind of 8 role, they're really fat in. They're really got a lot of strength and depth there. So I think it's a bit more of a difficult dream for him. And at this point in time, looking at it, but you know, who knows? They play him at 35 in South Africa. If you're old enough, you're good enough, they'll play you. So there's time. I mean, he's got time in that respect.
And your target for the season, it's a hoary old question, and let me ask it. What is your target for the season?
There's quite a lot that we want to achieve. I feel a debt to the hardcore fan base. I really do, because they've supported us each year, and I've told them pretty much each year, like, we're going for it this year, only to fall a bit short. So I want to repay a bit of that fanaticism that they've shown. I am tight with our owners, Jed, Sai and Shell, like really tight. So, you know, I don't want to waste any of their money, their resources. I go on that roller coaster of emotion with them. So, you know, I really like to do something special for them. We're talking about the same things here. Yeah. I think the bigger than that is the sense of failure within the squad. And I've been asked, well, you're not failing because clearly you get into finals and stuff, but there is a sense of failure because we haven't achieved what we're capable of achieving, Chris. I just don't think we've been at our best when the moment has required it. And that's what I'm desperate for now. That's what I really am, you know, willing to scrap tooth and nail for, is to make good on the talent we have within the building and good on our words. Good on our words. So we've had a lot of conversation this pre-season around how we can take the next step. And that's not just in terms of accolades, but in terms of day-to-day consistency of preparation, performance, taking the next step in terms of performance. I've said that, but winning at the start of the season, that's all important. So we've had a lot of conversations around it, and I just feel like the talking's done. Like, can we just be good to our words? So that's what I want to achieve, and that's not just end of season time, but like that starts on Thursday, and then it starts on Friday in the recovery, and it's every step in it is is one I want to keep making. I want to make sure we make good on that, and then I'll be satisfied. And that's taking outcome out of it. I think if we do that, if we're prepared, all of us, individually and collectively, to do what's right by the team in the next moment, whether it be a training session or on the field, then the outcomes will look after themselves. That's why I haven't gone to silverware, because I just think we'll get that if we all of us take this next step.
Lovely. Always great to start off the season with you. Thanks, Alex.
Cheers, Chris. Thanks, mate. It's good to see you.
Alex, it's something I touched on with Ernst. Talking about starts to the season and how you can get a flying start.
Yeah.
Is there any sort of psychological thing you can do? I remember once, alongside with our football manager, having this Christmas party in August to get going properly. We've dived pretty deep. We've dived deep the last few weeks just around their own personal, individual motivational drivers. We've tried to make it as intrinsic as possible, not external. Sometimes these are things that you do in the season to spike them if motivations are waning. We've gone there early at this point. So that's one thing that we've done. We've had conversations around team identity, and that's important. You know, not just the process, but who you want to be. We've gone away to Portugal and played harder than we worked. You know, in a ways to bring the group together. There's a lot of things that we've tried to put in place in doing our work early, if you like, to give us the best possible platform to start the season well, and that involves a couple of live sessions in and around the Prem Cup games. It's a change in the management coaching structure, as you know. It's a change in captaincy. All these things should create, if done in the right way, with the right people, little bumps. So yeah, so it's been, I wouldn't say it's one thing like Christmas dinner, but multifaceted approach to starting well, yeah, and intentional across all spectrum of things. You called Thursday a new Friday. How?
Baby Friday.
Do you know, Baby Friday.
Yeah.
So have you got any idea how the tickets have gone, or Steve?
Well, sell out, innit? No.
We've still got a little bit to go.
We get good walk-ins on Thursday night. The sun's shining.
Forecast is good.
The forecast is nice. The sun is shining, so that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the best time to come and watch rugby up north.
No better time.
No better time than a Thursday night. No better time. Done all right. Look, it's been a bit difficult. There's a lot of rugby going on with the Women's Rugby World Cup, and it's fresh and it's new for people, isn't it? School night and all that. But I think we'll have a decent crowd, a good atmosphere.
Great stuff. Good luck this season.
Thanks, Adam. Cheers, pal.
Afternoon, Al. Just going back to the captaincy question.
Yeah.
Was the main driver behind that the fact that Ben will now miss periods of the season and that Ernst is available in theory at the moment all year round? Was that the main driver behind it?
Yeah, I would. Oh, it's a difficult one, that, because it feels like that Ernie's only got it because Ben is away. Look, the easier thing is to keep the status quo, is to maintain the status quo, should I say. It's something that's been working for us, but it's not a driver. There's just factors that had to be addressed, and one of them is the consistency to drive it because of international windows. The other one is, or the other ones are like Ben. Ben has to focus on the World Cup as well. Right, he needs to do that. I want him to do that. I want him to win a World Cup and win a Premiership. There's another factor that it's not an easy yoke to bear being a captain. You have to tread that fine line between the players and the coaches, and still, keep your confidentiality with the players, but help the group. And Jesus, whoever it is has got to speak to me every Sunday, the poor bastards. So for Ben to carry that,
to have a dual focus, not just that he's away, but it's increasingly difficult to focus and lean into England. And having done it for 2 years, it was on the back of a conversation with him. I didn't make the decision until I spoke to him. And it was like, actually, he was the one saying, it's probably time for a change then, isn't it, Al? I'm like, that's how it went. So I didn't speak to Ernie or any of the lads until I sat down Ben, and that was the main driving influence, was actually Ben's maturity in the situation on reflection of all the things that have come to pass, for him to say, it's probably time. I'm like, right, let's do this. And then it gave me the conviction to do it.
Ben was one of those on a very successful England tour that was great to watch. It was a really enjoyable to watching over the summer. Obviously, a lot of players in the sales squad were there. Byron obviously was on the coaching staff. How beneficial do you think a tour like that for the sale players? How beneficial do you think that is coming into this season, and the confidence that everyone who was on that tour will take now into this season?
Yeah, there was a marked difference from this season to last season, with them coming on the back off the tour, how they were, with the confidence that they had and how buzzing they were, and probably been able to see themselves within that squad go towards the World Cup. You know, and they enjoyed it. Obviously, winning helps that, but I think they got it right on tour. The international management group got it right. You know, with Byron and Lee being on that as well, I'm sure helped. So, yeah, a lot less difficult. Yeah, it's really beneficial, really beneficial. And that's when it works at its best, that, Kieran. When they go away and they come back better players, more motivated. Because there's loads of times where they've gone away and for different reasons they've come back beaten up, demotivated, and you've got to try and raise them up again. It wasn't the case this time.
You touched a little bit earlier about the change in the coaching staff.
Yeah.
In terms of Marco and Joe coming in. How long had you kind of been thinking about perhaps freshening things up, and specifically with Marco and Joe, what was it about them that you thought, I need to get them on board?
Oh, you're always under some kind of parole. A length of contract doesn't, if you're honest with yourself, doesn't offer much security in professional sport. Like, it doesn't. You know, you have a bad season and a really bad season, and you're out and you're here. There's always someone waiting in the wings. So that's the reality of it. But I guess from last couple of years, there's been parts of the season where performances have been massively under par, and with a good squad, it's just not acceptable. So at those points, I have to look, as a director of rugby, as what the succession plan looks like from a coaching perspective, not just from a playing perspective. So there's always someone in the wings, but the people I have right now, the coaches, are the ones that I'm backing and will back, and I have everything, all the resources I have and the club can has to do a good job. But there always has to, and same for me. Like, there's two people within this coaching department who want to be better directors of rugby than I do, and my job is to make them better. Like, Marco wants to be better than me, and Joey underneath him, they both want that kind of succession plan. So, and I want that challenge, and that's in part coming back to your second question, is that's what Marco gives me. There's someone there who in time would happily take my job if he's better than I am to do it, and he's there to challenge me in ways because of the experience he's got. There's that. That's why he's come in. He's, I think, 110 cap international, so he brings a specialist expertise in the second row area, which I think is important, with the likes of Ben Bamber and Tom Burrow coming through, young international English locks. 9 years experience as a DOR, and he's a psychological-led coach. So, although the methodology of what we do has changed, what he helps me with is sharing the psychological load of managing the group. So, you know, there's the on-field coaching, an hour, maybe 2 hours a day, 3 days a week. That's max on-field, and that's with everything, warm-ups, cool-downs, a lot. So you can see the ratio on-field coaching to off-field conversations and management. And that's the psychological load that I'm talking about. He's a big help there. Joey, you know, a really young DOR at Champ Club, so he's got perspective of big picture again. So he understands the kind of help that I need at times, or the support I need. And then coming back to a role as an attack coach, was where kind of he started a couple of years ago. It allows him to focus on a very specific area, which he's absolutely brilliant at. You know, I thought he'd be good. I'd interviewed him and I'd heard good reports from some of our lads who were playing down at Donny. They underestimated him. He's a great coach, really good coach, and he brings with him the intellectual property of his family. You know, the Ford empire, the coaching empire that is the Fords. So, yeah, I feel like at this moment we've gelled well and there's good cohesion. There's going to be real tough times. I haven't played a game yet. There's going to be tough times, and as long as we keep dovetailing, because we going to Toulouse, and we went to Toulouse after we lost to them. I'm divulging it, I'm rambling, but we went to Toulouse after we lost to them. They wanted us in because they saw something in us, and they've done the stats, and they reckon that we've got the potential to be a really good team, so they wanted that relationship, which will continue. But what we found in their environment was their co-coaching was far better than ours. So if you get a lot of coaches in a room, like we have, there's, at times, a want and desire for each coach to get the pound of flesh. Do you know what I mean by that? Like, they want the minutes on field, they want the time, they want the focus to be about what they do. Whereas in Toulouse, they were very happy to let other coaches coach areas of their department because they were so aligned in terms of their methodology and the language that they used, even the symbology. These are a lot of visuals. So we were like, look, this is the way we want to go. A non-hierarchical coaching structure, which will shift and change depending on who's leading the session, but everyone has the role to play within it. Do you see what I mean? Star-shaped structure, like look up Apple. They've got something similar. So yeah, hey, big plans. Lots of marketing jargon, but at the moment it feels good.
I think you were asked about Tom a couple of weeks ago. How is his recovery going?
Yeah, he's great. Tom he's brilliant. He's been getting beaten by his own. He said he's getting beaten by his own volition. He's being beaten by Marius Slow, doing some speed work the other day. So he's out there running around. He's contributing to meetings. Every time Ben answers a question, Tom seems to add to it at the end, which the lads find hilarious. So he's very present. He's really present. Like, it's not. We're going to miss him on the field on a weekend, but you wouldn't guess that he's not playing by how invested and how he's contributing on a daily basis.
Is it still looking unlikely that he'll play before autumn?
Well, you look at him now. You play him this weekend. Honestly, like, he looks that fit and he's that keen that you put him out there. I've just got to take medical advice and opinion, which is autumn. Yeah.
I think you mentioned about not having a criticism of England, but about that dynamic, that relationship working both ways in terms of being rested, not just by Sale, but by England. Have you had that conversation with Steve Borthwick in terms of how that relationship can work both ways? Because that is how it probably should.
It should. I've only in passing have had that conversation around Tom. Phil Morrow's coming up on the 30th, so it's something we'll explore then. We'll get a proper plan around it. And I'm, like I say, in the past, we did the plan and England said, yeah, that looks good. And they ended up playing more games that both of us would have liked to play, but he felt good. He's obviously played really well and he enjoyed it. He's like, that feels right, that. So, if we can build it around a similar principle where he doesn't go more than 3 or 4 games on the bounce, where he always has that week
to kind of rehab his hip and work on his mechanics. It seems to keep him fresh for the season long. So I assume we'll work around that.